Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमो पंकजनाभाय नमो पंकजमालिने नमो पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्रीचैतन्यम् ईश्वरम्। नमो ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. We welcome all devotees to our Narasimha Lila series, part 5. And today morning we will be discussing from the chapter 4. We are going to now begin the discussions on Prahlad Maharaj, his qualities. So far we discussed about Hiranyakashipu, his atrocities. And now we will discuss how Prahlad Maharaj's pure devotional service attracts the heart of Lord Narasimha, and how Prahlad instructs his own father, Hiranyakashipu, on the science of devotional service. Of course, Hiranyakashipu doesn't listen to it. That's another story. But we will now hear about Prahlad Maharaj. Narad Muni is describing this pastime to Maharaj Yudhishthir, and he explains to him that Prahlad was one of the 4 sons of Hiranyakashipu. And he was the best because he had not only amazing good qualities of control over his senses, kindness towards all, but he was also extremely cultured. He had excellent character. He was the best friend of all living entities. And like the Paramatma, who is non-impartial and is friendly to all, Prahlad Maharaj always was sympathetic to everyone's needs. And he had absolutely not even a tinge of false pride. Despite being the son of the wealthiest of all emperors, despite being extremely highly self-realized and highly educated, still he was very, very humble. The Bhagavad Gita explains, Samo damas tapascheva, that a person who is Brahminical, who is self-controlled, Shamo damas tapascheva, Brahma karma swabhavatam, Jnana vijnana mastikyam. So he has knowledge, he has realizations, he has control over his senses, he is equipoised. But these are the qualities which Prahlad Maharaj had. And therefore, he had no enemies. Dhira, dhira, jana priya priya karo, nirmatsaro pujito. He was free from all envy, nirmatsa. nirmatsarata, and therefore he was dear to all gentle people as well as ruffians. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport also that a Vaishnava should never hate anyone. We should never hate anyone. Ishvara sarvabhutanam riddeshe arjuna tishtati. A devotee understands that the Lord is in the heart of all living entities. Therefore, he doesn't hate anyone because he sees the Lord in the heart of that person. So, these glories of Prahlad, Narad Muni goes on narrating to Maharaj Yudhishthir. And he tells him that whenever bhakti will be discussed in future also, wherever the glories of devotional service will be sung in any assembly, in any time, Prahlad Maharaj's example will be sung and spoken about in great detail and with great enthusiasm by all the speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Narad Muni is predicting that for eternity, for all time to come, whenever pure devotional service is glorified, Prahlad's name will be there and he will be glorified as well. In fact, Narad Muni is saying that even in 2021, when people will be hearing this class on Zoom, they will glorify Prahlad. And the best part of this is, Narad Muni is the guru of Prahlad. See, you can see how Narad Muni is free from all false pride, that Narad Muni is glorifying his own disciple with so much enthusiasm. Generally, it is a disciple who glorifies the guru. And that's what we will see Prahlad do that later on in the subsequent chapters. But here we see the spiritual master himself is so happy to glorify his own disciple. This is the mood of a Vaishnava. He has no feelings that he is superior or he is a master or he is a guru of someone else. He just glorifies wherever he sees Vaishnavata or devotional service. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exemplified this. He would glorify Rupa Goswami, his own disciple. When he read the 2 verses that Rupa Goswami had composed, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so happy. Dui shloke kahe prabhur hoila maha sukha nija bhakta guna kahe hana panchamukha. Dui shloke, these 2 shlokas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting, which Rupa Goswami had composed, and he was glorifying his own devotee, Rupa Goswami, nija bhakta guna kahe hana panchamukha, as if he had 5 mouths. The Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu relished glorifying his own devotees. Therefore, every devotee should become very happy. We should be very joyful to appreciate other devotees. And Lord Vishnu has told the devatas that such an exalted devotee like Prahlad, who is so dear, who is so wonderful, he has such amazing qualities. When he will be offended by Hiranyakashipu, that time I will incarnate and I will kill Hiranyakashipu, disregarding all the benedictions that Brahmaji has given him. Now, this is how serious Lord is when it comes to honoring his devotees. He can't tolerate the offenses committed towards his own devotees. In fact, Hiranyakashipu, the Lord killed, but this shouldn't surprise us because the Lord even killed Narakasur. Narakasur, he offended devotees. He actually took away the earrings of the mother of the Devatas. And because Narakasur offended devotees, the Supreme Lord killed him. And you know the relationship between Supreme Lord and Narakasur? Narakasur was the son of the Supreme Lord. He was the son of Vishnu when Lord incarnated as Vraja and he lifted Mother Earth. From their union, Narakasur was born. And he was the son of the Lord, and yet the Lord killed him. The same thing we see in the pastime of Banasur. He had 1,000 arms. He pleased Lord Shiva. And Banasur was the grandson of Bali Maharaj and the great-grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. He had such amazing association. But still, because he offended, he was destroyed. And we see Vivida Gorilla. He was an associate of Lord Ram. But because he got bad association, he landed up with the association of Banasur, who had got association of Narakasur. So because of this bad association and offense to devotees, even Vivida Gorilla was killed by the Lord. So the point is, the Lord does not spare his own progeny if they offend devotees. So this is the mood of the Lord. This is how much importance he gives to honoring devotees. So Prahlad Maharaj, when Narad Muni is glorifying Prahlad Maharaj as if he has 5 mouths, and he's so ecstatic. And Narad Muni goes on to say that this Prahlad is such an amazing person that he was also influenced by one of the planetary systems. Just like nowadays, people are very conscious of being influenced by Shani, Rahu, Ketu, right? These evil planets influence us. So we have to do some things to neutralize the effect. Like I remember some time ago when I was affected by the Rahu planet, I would go around, no, Ketu. So I would go around feeding the dogs, the bread or biscuits. So it is said that Ketu is neutralized. So we all go through Sadesati or the influence of Shani, Rahu, like that. So Narad Muni, while describing the glories of Prahlad, he says even Prahlad was influenced by planets. And what was the planet that he was influenced by? Nesta krida nako balo jadavattan manastaya Krishna graha grihitatma naveda jagat idrasham. Nesta krida nako balo. Prahlad was such an amazing devotee from birth that he was not at all interested in frivolous sports. And he was influenced by the planet called Krishna Graha Grihitatma. The Krishna Graha had influenced Prahlad, and therefore he was totally captured by the Lord's love. So let us also pray that we also get influenced by this planet. And because Prahlad was influenced by Krishna Graha, he had no interest in frivolous sports or mundane music. That means he was basically not interested in what was happening in the IPL or the Bollywood. He always saw Krishna everywhere. Of course, we may not be at Prahlad's level, but at least we can appreciate Prahlad's devotional service. Because he saw everywhere Krishna. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. A pure devotee of Krishna, Prema Anjana, his eyes are anointed with the salve of love, and therefore he has full bhakti in his heart. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, and such a person, Santaha Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. Every moment in his heart he is seeing the Lord. And therefore, he always remembered the Lord, and he felt so embraced by Krishna. And he is the best example of Smaranam. All the bhakti rituals and rules we are following, we are taught that the essence of all these rules is to somehow always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. This is our ultimate goal. We want to always remember Krishna. And the example scriptures present as the highest example of somebody who remembered Krishna always is none other than Sri Prahlad. And if we also remember Prahlad and his devotional qualities, we will also be blessed with the quality of remembering Krishna. Of course, this does not mean we won't suffer. Even Prahlad was inflicted with so much of torture from his own father. So we will all go through suffering. But our goal is to somehow always remember Krishna. Suffering we cannot avoid. The external forces attack on us cannot be prevented by us. But remembrance of Krishna is in our hands. It is something we can control. So we need to consciously remember Krishna. So you may say, but if I cannot avoid suffering from coming into my life, then how will remembering Krishna help? If a non-devotee, somebody who doesn't remember Krishna also is suffering, and by remembering Krishna also I face onslaughts of the material nature, then what is the difference between both of us? The difference is that a devotee who remembers Krishna, although he is suffering externally like a non-devotee, but because he remembers Krishna, he experiences a certain kind of deep contentment and satisfaction. And that pleasure, that rasa, that mellow, that nectar which he relishes in his heart gives him the strength to tolerate the suffering. And it helps him feel that life in this world is worth it. Life is worth living, although there is so much suffering, because the nectar of remembrance of Krishna fills his heart with unlimited joy. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granti nibandanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat katharatim. Chindanti, see, the remembrance of Krishna, Anudya Asina, it is compared to an asina or a sword. When we remember the Lord, it's like a sword which we use to cut off and break the shackles of ropes, which is tying a person. Similarly, remembrance of Krishna breaks the shackles of suffering, the mental clutter that we have in our heads. So when devotees come in front of the Lord, fold their palms, and supplication and petition they make, and they urge Krishna to help them, or they remember the Lord in love, that removes that removes all the material entanglements. So therefore, this remembrance is what we are all aspiring for. Of course, Prahlad was at another level. He was remembering Krishna so much that he would spontaneously remember the Lord and start crying in joy. And sometimes he would laugh. Sometimes he would start dancing. Like a child, a baby in a cradle, when the baby sees mother, he starts laughing. When the mother is out of sight, the baby starts crying. So Prahlad would always be remembering Krishna. And sometimes he would cry in separation from Krishna. Sometimes he would laugh in union with Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exemplified this. Shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name. Without Govinda, Krishna, life is a big void or a zero. So Prahlad, everything for him was Krishna. So Narad Muni is glorifying Prahlad and telling this to Maharaj Yudhishthira. And he tells him that such an amazing child, Prahlad, and yet his father Hiranyakashipu wanted to kill him. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj hears this, he is shocked. He says, Prahlad is a saintly child. Why would a father want to kill such a beautiful, such a saintly child? Prahlad is so nice. Why is he doing this? So this is interesting. See, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking questions. Narad Muni is answering. So this question answers is happening. And when we have these question answers with devotees, this is what will help us experience Krishna in our lives. You know, when we come in front with devotees, we ask them, what did you study today? Okay, what lecture of Srila Prabhupada you heard? So, and then the devotees explain, and then we ask questions. And this kind of get together where we discuss about Krishna. See, Yudhishthira Maharaj definitely is a devotee of Krishna, so he knows all the pastimes of the Lord. Yet to make it more relatable, he's asking questions to Narad Muni, and Narad Muni is provoked to answer more and do more Krishna Katha. This is the way devotees come together. Satam prasanga mama virya samvido bhavantirit karna rasayana kata tajoshanada shapavarga vartmani shraddharatir bhaktirano kramishyati. When my devotees, the Lord says, when my devotees come together and they glorify me, mama virya samvido, my pastimes, bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. Their heart is filled with the nectar of Krishna Katha. At such time, Tajoshanad Asho Apavarga Vartmani, their doors for liberation is opened up, and automatically Shraddha Rati Bhaktir Anukramishati, faith, attraction, and devotional service automatically follows in the life of a devotee who constantly hears and inquires about Krishna. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is in this mode asking Narad Muni, how can Hiranyakashipu want to kill his own son Prahlad? For many people, this is shocking. You know, how can a father want to kill a son? And this doesn't happen. So they dismiss these pastimes as mythology. But I tell them, no, it is happening even today. There are countries, there are communities and places where a father wants to kill his own son because he doesn't obey him. I know one such family. I know one such person who is from the country of Iran. And there, he is practicing Krishna consciousness. And of course, in Iran, the preaching is done very clandestinely, and there are around 300 devotees. They meet underground, and he is one of them who's become a devotee, and is a wonderful devotee of Krishna. But his parents were earlier opposing, especially his father. So when he came to our temple, and I was talking to him, he said now his mother and sister are also chanting. And in fact, he had brought them to our temple, and they were also chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna. And he had become initiated devotee. And when I told him, oh, your mother is devotee, your sister is also devotee, you are such a wonderful devotee, is your father also a devotee? He immediately got alarmed. He said, no, my father would kill us if he knows that we are Hare Krishna devotees. I said, what? Your father would kill you? Your father doesn't love you? You are his son. Doesn't he love his wife, your mother? Doesn't he love his daughter, who is your sister? What kind of a father is he? He said, yes, my father loves us. My father is very loving. And this is amazing. Just like Hiranyakashipu was also very loving towards Prahlad. So this man was saying that his father loves him. But he said, my father loves his religion so much more than he loves us, that if we were to practice Krishna consciousness and if he comes to know, then he would consider us as an apostate and he would kill us. He would have no hesitation. Because in our country, if somebody rejects our religion, he is publicly executed. People pelt stones at him or her and kill him. So my father would have no hesitation in killing me. I said, wow, that's Hiranyakashipu in 21st century, I told him. And then I asked him that, how do you, it must be so difficult for you to live at home. He said, no, Prabhu, but yeah, I'm hopeful that very soon my father would become a devotee. I said, really? How? Because we are feeding him prasad every day. I said, really? You, your sister and mother, you're cooking? He said, yeah, we cook and we offer him prasad. I said, that's great, but if you have an altar at home and you offer food to your God, to Krishna, your father would see that, and that's like idol worship is considered as a big sin, right? So he said, yeah, but we trick our father. We have a beautiful altar. I said, really? How can you have an altar and your father doesn't see it at home? He said, yes, my father doesn't know it. Because then he showed me a photograph in his mobile phone. And that was an amazing photograph. That was the photograph of his gate. So the gate, the entrance to his house, there's a beautiful gate. And the gate is made of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra Maya. And I was shocked. I said, this is Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. He said, yes. So whenever we cook food, I get it in a bowl and I come to the gate and I offer it to the Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra deities, and then I go back inside my house. I said, wow, but what about the neighbors? What about your father? They are saying Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. This is definitely Hindu God. Don't they get offended? Are they not upset? Are they not angry with this idolatry? And he told me, no, Prabhu, because I have presented it and they are also convinced that this is not some God. This is simply fashion. I have presented Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra as a very fashionable piece. So they think it's just some fashion from India. They have no idea that this is religion or this is God. But we know it is Jagannath and we get it for the Lord. And we offer the food to the Lord. And now I'm feeding my father prasadam every day. So the moral of the story is that Krishna is very merciful. But we are talking about Hiranyakashipu trying to kill his son Prahlad should not be surprising because Hiranyakashipus are also existing nowadays. And it's ironical, Hiranyakashipu had everything he wanted in life. He had so much powers. But still, he wanted to kill his own 5-year-old son who is refusing to obey him. 5-year-old children, they're not obliged to obey their father. They are their children. They laugh, they cry, they make fun. We don't take them seriously. But Hiranyakashipu was personally affronted. He was offended when he saw that all sons are obedient, everybody is obedient, but just one son has become a renegade. Just ignore him. No, he should also listen to him. And this frustration is also indicative of the fact that in material world, whoever we are, we will be disappointed. The mind will never allow us to be happy. Hiranyakashipu had a child whom, Anga Maharaj would have loved to have. Anga had a son, Vena, who was so cruel even as a child that he would kill his friends during play. So you can imagine what a son Vena was. Terrible, right? Which child would kill other children during play? So Anga Maharaj tried his best to reform his son Vena, but Vena was incorrigibly ruthless. So Anga Maharaj got so fed up, he got so frustrated that he renounced his kingdom and left the palace and took sannyas in great distress. He wanted a saintly son. And look at Hiranyakashipu. He wanted a son like Vena, who was cruel, a demon. But he got a saintly son. How they would have loved to exchange places. But Hiranyakashipu couldn't get a son like Vena, and Anga Maharaj didn't get a son like Prahlad. And we have another example of Chitraketu Maharaj, who had 1 crore wives. He was a crorepati. He had 1 crore wives, and still he had no children, no issue. And he was also frustrated. So no one gets what they want. That's material world for you. So this is the tragedy of Hiranyakashipu. In fact, this pastime reveals that in material world, we never get what we want. This is the reason why pure devotees never ask for material blessings from God, because they know that in this material world, a material blessing is also a curse, because it doesn't really give anything. There's always anxiety. So therefore, devotees say, fine, if there is going to be suffering, why not suffer for God? Why not suffer for Krishna? Why not take anxiety for the Lord? Because you're talking about Lord Narasimha Dev, I think it's very much applicable here to glorify the pastime of Lord Narasimha Dev in Mayapur Dham. In Mayapur, Lord Narasimha Dev appeared because of dacoits attacking the Mayapur temple complex. So these dacoits came a few times, they attacked the devotees. One devotee's arm also they broke, and another Mataji, they pulled her sari out and they kind of harassed them. So devotees were crying and they were in so much anxiety by these gundas who came from the neighboring areas. So one day these dacoits attacked, around 30 of them attacked. And now look at the courage of these devotees who were simple-hearted, living in this Mayapur at that time was an isolated place with no facilities. And these devotees, Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj, who was an American by birth, and he was staying there serving with the devotees. Look at the dedication he had, that he single-handedly ran inside the temple complex to protect the deities because the deities were being attacked. And he had nothing, and he just ran to protect the deities. So these dacoits, the gundas, 30 of them, when they saw that this man is coming running, they were scared. They thought he must be having some power or some confidence. So out of panic, they hurled a bomb at him. And Bhakti Raghav Maharaj broke his leg in that bomb attack. And of course, it's a long pastime. And then after that, he always had one, he would walk with the one leg, and one leg was gone. But then later on, a few years later, when he took sannyas, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj was giving him sannyas. So Maharaj told him, you had 2 legs, then it became 1 leg. Now I'm giving you a sannyas danda. This will be your 2nd leg, henceforth. So the devotees, they took anxiety to protect the deities, to protect and to serve Krishna. They're all from America, from well-to-do families in Europe. And they gave up everything to stay in a village in Bengal, in Mayapur, to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission and to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, and especially in India. And what did they get? What were they doing it for? They were doing it out of love for the Lord and their Guru. And at that time, devotees thought, we need to protect our devotees, we need to protect the temple. So they prayed, and Bhavananda Prabhu, he got the dream of Lord Narasimha Dev in his 8 arms, the Sthanu Narasimha, the Ugra Rupa, who is very angry, who has just come out of the pillar and is ready to kill Hiranyakashipu, who is crushing demons. So then the devotees decided that they need to have Narasimha Dev in their temple and their deity of Narasimha Dev in the altar. So then Atmatattva Prabhu went searching for stapatis, the sculptors who would make this deity of Prahlad Narasimha. So Atmatattva Prabhu went to South India, went to Tamil Nadu, Madras, Chennai, and there, whichever stapatis they met, they all said this form of the Lord as Narasimha Dev is bona fide, but we cannot do it because he is a very angry form of Narasimha Dev. He is in such an angry form, he's just come out of the pillar, he's wanting to kill Hiranyakashipu. We can't make such a deity. So, and he said, we want Prahlad Maharaj, something like, he explained, I think some 2 feet or something. So then the 1 feet of Prahlad Maharaj's height, deity. So by that logic of the sculptor Shastra, the scriptures, then Narasimha Dev would be 600 feet. So that is the proportion they need to have. So, and if they want Narasimha Dev the way I have now, that height, then Prahlad Maharaj would be like insignificant. The height would be very, very small. So Atmatattva Prabhu realized that this is a very big science and he cannot really get anyone he couldn't convince anyone. And one of the stapatis explained that this form of the Lord Narasimha Dev that you want to make is bona fide, but nobody can do it because the last time this form was made and installed in a temple in a village, the village was initially prosperous because they were worshipping Lord Narasimha Dev, and there was elephant processions, there was festivals, but because this is Ugra Narasimha, you have to have very high standards and you can't keep him cool, you can't pacify him like that. This Narasimha, they got so angry that that whole village was destroyed and now it's like a ghost town. Do you really want to have such a deity? So Atmatattva Prabhu was not the one to give up. Even to other Sthapatis, they all refused. They said, this Lord is very angry. Generally when we approach the Lord, approach the deity form of the Lord, we ask for blessings. But this Lord Narasimha Dev is so angry that we can't even ask him for blessings because he can't reciprocate with you. He can only reciprocate with Hiranyakashipu. He is ready to kill Hiranyakashipu and the demons. And this form of Lord Narasimha Dev is not worshipped even in the heavenly planet. So give up your plan. So Atmatattva Prabhu was going to different Sthapatis on the behalf of the Mayapur devotees. He was very sad, he was not getting a proper sculptor who could commit to make this deity. And then he came back to the original Sthapati and then he said, my Guru Shankaracharya, he has told me who wants to make it. I explained to him that this ISKCON devotees, and then he said it is inauspicious. It cannot be made this deity of Narasimha Dev. It is very ugra, very angry. So sorry. But surprisingly, the next day, the Sthapati told Atmatattva Prabhu that we will make the deities for you. So he was surprised. He said, what happened? How this changed? So then the Sthapati explained that his Guru told him, appeared in a dream first and told him that he should make the deity. And then the Guru explained that Narasimha, because this deity is going to be made for a temple in Mayapur. Mayapur is the place where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. And for ISKCON devotees, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the principal deity. So when we make Narasimha Dev deity, Narasimha Dev will accept the mood of the predominating deity of Sri Mayapur Dham, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is Audarya Dham. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful and magnanimous. So Lord Narasimha Dev will accept that mood. Therefore, it is safe. It is okay to have the deity of Ugra Narasimha. So then Atmatattva Prabhu was satisfied. He asked him, how long do you need to make the deity? He said, we'll need 8 months, at least 6 to 8 months. So Atmatattva Prabhu said, okay. And after 5 months, he came to this village in Madras area and he was surprised that the Sthapatis had not yet begun the work. So he asked, why haven't you even started making the deity? He said, because there is no stone available to make the deity. So Atmatattva Prabhu said, stone? There are so many stones everywhere. Now you can pick up and any of the rocks and make deity. So then the Sthapati said, I am not making a grinding mortar. I need a living stone. See, the Narasimha Dev deity was made from a living stone. So Atmatattva Prabhu asked him, what do you mean a living stone? So then the Sthapati explained that a stone is a living stone if you take there's a particular instrument he has, and at 7 different places when he hits the stone, a different sound comes. And a bug would enter one hole in the stone and appear out from the other end. So if these two phenomena are observed, then that is a living stone. So they were searching for a stone, and then finally they found a stone like that. And then when Atmatattva Prabhu went there to see the progress, he was surprised that after a few months, the work had just begun. The Sthapati would come, he would make one rectangle shape and he would stand in front of that shape for a long time, then he would go back. And again, he would come the next day, he would keep looking at the rock and then again go back. For 1 year, it went like that. And then finally, the sculpting was done, about to be done, and he told Atmatattva Prabhu that you come in a few days and I will give the deities to you and you can take them to Mayapur. So the devotees were getting ready and they were excited in Mayapur that Narasimha Dev is coming. At that time, surprisingly, one day, suddenly the Sthapati called Mayapur Dham and told Atmatattva Prabhu that come immediately and take your Narasimha Dev fast. He is very angry, take him away. So Atmatattva Prabhu asked, what happened? He said, oh, we had made the deity and put him in a shed, covered by the tin and the roof. And Narasimha Dev is so angry that he burned the entire house. He's burning everything now. Take him. So then their devotees went there and they brought him in a truck covered with sand, and they drove from Madras to Mayapur, which is, we have to go through many states and there are many checkpoints and many toll stations where they have to pay taxes. But everywhere in the border state, whenever the truck was stopped and they were asked, what do you have? And they said, Narasimha Dev. And they saw Ugra Narasimha Dev, they immediately said, take him away, take him away. Nobody had the courage or the guts to stop Lord Narasimha Dev's journey. So they didn't have to pay any tax. They brought Narasimha Dev, and then who will worship? Everybody was scared because you need very high standards. And Pankajangri Prabhu, His Grace Pankajangri Prabhu, whose memorial we celebrated recently, who left all of us this few weeks ago in Mayapur Dham. So Pankajangri Prabhu volunteered to serve, and then he served and beautifully. And there were many devotees who were assisting him, and one of the devotees was Bhava Siddhi Prabhu, and his pastime is very beautiful. He was also assisting Pankajangri Prabhu. He was serving Lord Narasimha Dev. And one night, and the brahmacharis, they were sleeping on a bunker beds, he was sleeping on the top bed. And one night he was sleeping, and suddenly his whole bed was shaking. And he opened his eyes and he saw Narasimha Dev sitting in front of him. Such a fearful sight, and the bed was rocking. And Narasimha Dev held his arms like this and said, Prabhu, don't be scared of me. Imagine if there's such a scary thing. The Lord Narasimha Dev said that very lovingly, that you are serving me every day. Don't serve me with fear. And then Lord Narasimha Dev said, I have a request to you. When you serve me in the morning, you put this bulb, the light blares it straight into my eyes in the night. So remove this bulb. In the Shringar Darshan time, light is okay. So to make this request, Lord Narasimha Dev had appeared in front of Bhava Siddhi Prabhu. And he was so stunned by this experience of Lord Narasimha Dev requesting him and telling him to do this service, that he jumped out of the bed and he ran to the temple hall. It was early morning before Mangalarti, and everyone was seeing him run, and he ran and he offered obeisances repeatedly to Lord Narasimha Dev's deity and was looking at everyone. And then he came running back. And when he asked devotees, why are you all staring at me? And they all burst out laughing. And that's when he realized that he got so shaken by Lord Narasimha Dev's appearance that he ran in fear, not realizing that the only cloth he was wearing was a kopin, which is the Vedic underwear. That was the only thing he was wearing, a piece of kopin. And there was no other cloth on his body. And he just ran, and then he sobered up. And for many months after that incident also, Lord Narasimha Dev, because Lord Narasimha Dev had touched his arms, that mark of Lord Narasimha Dev's nails was there on his shoulders for many, many months. So there are many pastimes of Lord Narasimha Dev of Sri Mayapur Dham. One Gaudiya Mutt nearby, they celebrate Narasimha Chaturdashi festival, and that is Gopinath Gaudiya Mutt. So the whole night, the devotee there, the sannyasi there, was worshipping his deities, and Lord Narasimha Dev appeared and smiled at him and said, I am not different from the deity of Narasimha Dev that is there in the ISKCON temple. Please go and take darshan. So like that, he came and he narrated this pastime. There is a story of one Mataji who had problems in her eyes from childhood. So she came in front of Narasimha Dev and she said, oh, Lord Narasimha Dev, please cure my eye problem. I'm going to go through a surgery. And suddenly she heard a voice boom from the altar. And she was stunned to hear that voice. And that voice said, first, I want my eyes back. Then I will restore your eyes. So she was shaken by the voice that she heard, and she went to Pankajangri Prabhu and Jananivas Prabhu, and she said that this is what I heard. And they were shocked because recently they had changed the eyes of Lord Narasimha Dev and they put some pearl eyes, and nobody knew it. So this Mataji, there was no way she would have known this incident. But the fact that she knew it means she was indeed told about this by none other than the Lord himself. And when she was trepidating and she was like trembling and she was telling Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajangri Prabhu about the incident, they immediately replaced the eyes and they put back the old eyes. So like this, many pastimes are there. There is one amazing pastime of how Narasimha Dev appeared in the vision, a dream of one Mataji, and he told her that I am going to take my pujari back with me to my abode because I need him to serve me here. And she immediately, in the dream, she was begging the Lord, please don't take him because we need him here. He's such a wonderful pujari, such a wonderful devotee. So, and Narasimha Dev said, no, I want him. So she kept saying, no. And finally, Lord Narasimha Dev told her, it's okay. If you really want him, I will not take him now. But instead, I will take one of the gurus of ISKCON because I need him here to serve me. And then, after a few days of this incident, His Holiness Srila Gaura Govinda Swami Maharaj, he left this world while glorifying Krishna on a very special festival day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disappearance day. And this Mataji was disciple of Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj, and she had told her Guru Maharaj about this, and Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj had told her not to tell anyone about this. So these are very extraordinary pastimes of Lord Narasimhadev reciprocating. And there are many stories like this of devotees being cured of diseases. And there is one pastime of Bengal, Navadvip area, one boy, because of firecrackers exploding in his face was badly mutilated. And the doctor said nothing could be done. But then the doctors, they saw that the parents were devotees of Narasimhadev, Mayapur Dham. So then they put some plasters and everything on his face. And miraculously, the doctor said, your son is Krishna's boy. We can't explain logically what has happened. What happened was when they removed the plasters and everything, the boy's face was completely fresh and effulgent as if nothing had happened to him. So these are some of the miracles that have happened. And one devotee was leaving his body in Taiwan. His father was dying, and his father was not a devotee. And the devotee was trying to tell his father that please chant Hare Krishna. And the devotee was sincerely praying to Krishna in the heart. And his father had no idea about Krishna consciousness, but his father was leaving his body. So as his father was leaving the body in the night, he was chanting, the son was chanting and praying to Krishna. Next morning, before leaving the body, this man told his son, son, the whole night I saw this amazing personality sitting in front of me. He was half man and half lion shaped. And he was assuring me that I'm there with you. Don't worry. Your son is a beautiful devotee and I love your son. So I will take care of you also. And I'm feeling very peaceful, my dear son. I'm feeling very happy. And saying this man, he left his body. So imagine Narasimhadev appeared to him because of his son's devotional service and reassured him. This man had no idea about Narasimhadev, but he saw a form of Narasimhadev, half man and half lion. There are many stories like this. His Holiness Indradhamma Swami Maharaj speaks about one devotee in South Africa whose daughter, and they were very staunch devotees of Lord Narasimhadev, and their daughter was also attached to Lord Narasimhadev. And she was a small girl, 4 years old, and she was on the street. Suddenly, she ran to cross the street and a huge truck came from front and it was about to hit her, and the parents saw from the side and they screamed out Lord Narasimhadev's name to help her. And miraculously at that particular point of time, that externally it appeared that the truck has hit the child, but the child who should have logically been crushed by that truck, the child appeared to be flying in the air because of that hit by the truck. And the child fell on the veranda, on the lawns of the house, on the side of the road. And she fell and there was no injury on her body. And they were all astonished to see that the child was healthy. Nothing had happened to her. And the only thing that happened to her was in her arms, there was marks, strong marks of nails. So that's when devotees realized that this is Lord Narasimhadev who picked up the girl as the truck was speeding and he placed her lovingly there in the lawn. So this is how Lord Narasimhadev reciprocated. During the Bosnia-Sarajevo, Croatia war that happened in the early 1990s, Yugoslavia was getting torn apart into different countries. At that time in Bosnia, the soldiers had captured a devotee and they were about to shoot him, execute him, and he kept chanting loudly Lord Narasimhadev's names. And suddenly these soldiers, they dropped their guns and they screamed, lion, 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 run, run. And all of them ran away from there. And the devotee was amazed because in that entire town, there has been no lion for hundreds of years. Suddenly these soldiers were so blessed. These soldiers got darshan of a lion from nowhere because this devotee was calling out Narasimhadev, and they are not Hindu, they are not Indian, they had no idea about Narasimhadev, but they got darshan of. These army men were lucky. They could see Lord Narasimhadev because of the intense fervor appeal of a devotee. So Lord Narasimhadev has reciprocated with so many devotees, so many times in Sri Mayapur Dham. In fact, Pankajangri Prabhu would say that during the 2000-year floods, when Narasimhadev had, the water had come up Lord Narasimhadev's head, and every day the devotees would go in a boat or they would swim across, and then they would offer arati to the lordships. And So they would see sometimes snakes and sometimes cobras. Once a snake was staring at the devotees while they were doing arti. So they would have a simple arti of incense stick, and they would also carry flashlights because there was no electricity. So daily, one day, Pankajangri Prabhu, when he was performing artis, you would see daily one particular big snake with its hoods raised would come, and he would be in the opposite direction of Pankajangri Prabhu when he would do arti of Lord Narasimhadev, and he would do parikrama daily. The same snake would do parikrama of Lord Narasimhadev as Pankajangri Prabhu was doing arti. One day the snake came late, and Pankajangri Prabhu had just finished his arti, and the snake came right in front of Pankajangri Prabhu, and he raised his hoods like this, and he got very scared. And then suddenly he saw Narasimhadev and he realized, why should I be scared? And he became peaceful because this is the Lord of that cobra also. And he said, my dear Lord, you are in the heart of this snake, so you can do what you like. And suddenly the cobra, because as soon as Pankajangri Prabhu offered this prayer to Lord Narasimhadev, the cobra went under the water. And then Pankajangri Prabhu became more scared. And then from underwater, he disappeared and he never came back again. So these are the extraordinary pastimes of devotees and Lord Narasimhadev. So we were discussing all of this because we were saying how there is anxiety, there is problem everywhere. But if we take up anxiety for the Lord's cause, then we will feel the life is worthwhile to live. So this is the beautiful qualities of Prahlad Maharaj we discussed from the 4th chapter. Now we will enter the 5th chapter of the 7th canto, where Prahlad is now growing up. Hiranyakashipu is excited to send his son to the school to learn different subject matters. And the guru of the Asura, the demons, is Shukracharya. And Shukracharya has 2 sons, Shanda and Amarka. And in their school, Prahlad was enrolled with other children of the other demons. And there they would be teaching Prahlad and other children subjects like politics, where they would teach how to do sama, dana, danda, veda, how to create enmity, how to destroy enemies. And Prahlad, he was not at all interested in duality of this politics of hate. In fact, I was recently asked a question in one seminar about how to deal with office politics. And I said, I would love to answer your question, but I haven't seen politics in the last 20 plus years that I'm staying in this monastery. So I'm staying in a particular small temple area where we have devotees living here for more than 25, 30 years. And I've never seen an instance of politics. So I really don't know how I could help you, I told him. Of course, I shared principles from the Gita, but it's very rare. Many people don't believe it when I tell them that, in the temple where I stay, I haven't seen an instance of politics and backbiting and, violence. So this is very rare in an institutional kind of setup. But wherever pure devotional service is practiced, there's a great possibility that devotees will not do politics. Devotees will be always loving. So Hiranyakashipu, he sent his son to the school, and Prahlad Maharaj was taught by Shanda and Amarka different subject matters. And then after they thought they had sufficiently trained him a little bit, they brought him to Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu took his son on his lap, and he wanted to know from his child Prahlad what he had learned in his school. Now Prahlad, because he's a devotee of Krishna, he knows the essence of everything. In fact, he knows everything. Yasmin vigyate sarvam evam vigyatam bhavati. If we know Krishna, we know how to answer, what to answer. Hiranyakashipu asks Prahlad that, my dear Prahlad, what did you learn in your school today? Please tell me. I want to know what is the best thing you have learned. Now Prahlad has to answer his father. Prahlad could have said, I learned politics or I learned geography. You could have said any subject. But a devotee is guided by the Lord to speak, to share what is best for that person to hear. Teshameva anukampatam aham agyanajam tama nashayamatma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. The Lord says that I light the lamp of knowledge in the heart of the devotee by which the darkness of ignorance is dissipated. So Lord reveals the knowledge in the heart of a devotee, especially those devotees who are sincerely executing devotional service. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, although he was not academically a scholar, he didn't have a PhD like the materialistic scholars, but he could defeat all these, clever, manipulative media interviewers or scientists who would challenge Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada had very amazing wit, spontaneous intelligence and humor, and he would answer the questions because he was guided by Krishna. Prahlad is being guided now by the Lord to answer Hiranyakashipu's questions, which are legendary, which are immortalized in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we will be, as Narad Muni predicted to Yudhishthir Maharaj, we will be reading, hearing these question answers of Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu for eternity. This is a question which Hiranyakashipu has asked, my dear Prahlad, what did you learn? What is the best thing you have learned in the school? And Prahlad is going to answer. And his answer is what the Lord has revealed. Pure devotee's speech is revealed by the Lord. When Srila Prabhupada was cornered by an interviewer in London, this interviewer was very famous for unsettling his guests and making fun of them. So he thought Srila Prabhupada was a lame duck. He could make fun of Srila Prabhupada. So he asked him, hey, Swamiji, we heard that you are from Hindu tradition and in Hinduism you believe in heaven and hell. So do you believe in hell? He asked it in a very sarcastic way to make fun of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, hell. And this was London. Heart of London, this interview was going on. And immediately Srila Prabhupada said, yes, your London is hell. And the interviewer was shocked. He was totally floored. He just didn't know how to react. And Srila Prabhupada said, see, there is no sun here. For days together it is dark. This is hell. And of course, Srila Prabhupada glorified London, saying that although it is so dark and damp, still you've made such a beautiful civilization in this country and you ruled the entire world. So you are a great nation. So he glorified London. But at that spur of the moment, when the interviewer was trying to get smart and nasty, Srila Prabhupada crushed him. Once one lady interviewer was challenging Srila Prabhupada, why have you shaved your head? And immediately Srila Prabhupada immediately replied to her, because this lady was in her miniskirts. Srila Prabhupada said, why have you shaved your leg? She said it because it keeps my legs cool. So Srila Prabhupada said, it is better to have a cool head and warm legs. So amazing wit, amazing spontaneous presence of mind. Once Srila Prabhupada was giving a class on the Varnashram, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and he was sitting on the Vyasasana. One man challenged him. He said, you are sitting on this big asana, so do you think you are Brahmana class, the highest class? And immediately Srila Prabhupada, without batting an eyelid, he said, no, I am none of the four classes. I am the lowest, the fifth class. I am a servant of all the four classes. So Srila Prabhupada's ready wit and genuine humility always came out in all provocative situations. Because Prabhupada, like in Prahlad Maharaj's case, he is directed by the Lord. The Lord reveals through the pure devotee. So Prahlad is now going to answer Hiranyakashipu's question as to what is the best thing he has learned in school. And now on will begin. We are going to now discuss an amazing section in the Srimad Bhagavatam where Hiranyakashipu's question will be answered by Prahlad. And what is exactly this answer that Prahlad gives? And we'll analyze it in great detail. And Hiranyakashipu's response to this and what happens is now the pastime of Lord Narasimha Dev, Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad is now taking a dramatic turn. All the action is going to get unfolded now. When Hiranyakashipu has asked a very provocative question, Prahlad, what is the best thing you have learned in school? And Prahlad is going to tell Hiranyakashipu that the best thing he learned from his original spiritual master, Narad Muni, because what Prahlad is going to reveal to Hiranyakashipu was not taught to him by Shanda and Amarka in their school. And this is a legendary, historic answer. So I request all of you, please read 7th Canto, 5th chapter and come next Sunday. Next Sunday I have a temple class, maybe the Sunday after that. So we'll continue our Narasimha Lila series for another few weeks. And now today we have completed the 5th part of this Narasimha Lila series. And we're in the middle of the 5th chapter of the 7th Canto, where Hiranyakashipu has asked a question to Prahlad and Prahlad is now going to answer. So I would request all of you to read and come, and then it will help us understand these verses much deeper. There are very beautiful Sanskrit verses here from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we will discuss these verses in great detail and thus understand Prahlad's mood and his instructions to Hiranyakashipu, and thereby his instructions to all of us. Prahlad, through the medium of his father, is teaching all of us how we should absorb ourselves in remembering the Lord. So I sincerely thank you for spending last 55 minutes, 1 hour, discussing and hearing about Lord Narasimha and Prahlad, Narada and Hiranyakashipu. The 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is Utaya. It is what helps us get connected to the Lord and balance these two opposites of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, the divine and demoniac, are harmonized. For the more we hear Prahlad Narasimha pastimes, the more the Hiranyakashipu within us would be destroyed and crushed, and the divine qualities would shine forth. So with this mood, this year, we are discussing Prahlad Narasimha pastimes in much greater detail compared to last year. And in another couple of weeks, we'll be completing this section, this pastime, and then we will continue our Bhagavatam study from the first canto onwards. I sincerely thank all of you for your kind attention. I request you to please come for these classes whenever we have them on a Sunday morning. I sincerely once again thank Mohit Prabhu and Abhishek Prabhu for organizing these morning classes. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Narasimhadev Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.